Okay, so today we are talking lawns. It is late spring, summer is right around the corner. Lawns are looking beautiful this year, but we need to talk about what to do next in the lawn to make sure it stays looking good for the rest of the spring and into summer, and therefore handles the heat of the summer as best it can. Let's talk about it. Now that late spring is kicking in, we need to be thinking about lawn weeds, what to fertilize with, and specifically grub prevention. These are the three biggest things that we need to be thinking about. So if you fertilize back in March or April, you're probably due for a second fertilizer application. The weather's perfect. The cool weather we've been getting this spring has been really helping make sure the lawns are in great shape. So if it's been about 6 to 8 weeks, it's time to fertilize again. Now, what we want to be looking at this time of year, a lot of times people are using weed killers and using a weed and feed product. That means you're going to fertilize and focus on killing broadleaf weeds like your dandelions or any other weeds that are in there. For us, we're always looking at prevention. So we're going to use the crabgrass preventative that we recommended back in April and March. We're going to do this second time. So we're going to feed the lawn with a fertilizer, but it's also going to have a weed suppression in there. Many, depending on the make and model of what you're using, might even kill crabgrass as a baby plant. And it is starting to germinate, and we are seeing pockets in warm areas. So look along your walkways, look alongside the driveways. Any spot that stays nice and warm, crabgrass may be germinating in those spots. So again, fertilizer is going to be the crabgrass preventative and fertilizer, but it's also time to be thinking about grubs. We have other videos that dive deep into grubs, but basically right now, any grubs that are in your lawn are gonna start turning into little beetles. So they're gonna see these little cocoons, little red cocoons in your lawn if you stop poking around. Another few weeks, you're gonna start seeing these beetles flying around your yard. That means you do not have grubs in your lawn. They're out flying around as beetles, laying their eggs, and the cycle is gonna start over again next August. So you wanna put down a grub preventative right now. So again, usually around late May, early June, we recommend hitting a preventative grub killer because we can put that down over the lawn just like a bag of fertilizer. We're reliably typically still getting rain. That chemical is going to get sucked into the soil, taken up by the plants, and it's only going to kill what's actually consuming the grass. And the beauty is, again, with lawns, if you have to use chemicals, I'd rather use a small amount to kill a baby grub rather than have to use a large amount of chemical to kill a big meaty grub in August. So do yourself a favor, put down a preventative grub killer now, and that way you can avoid a grub problem in the fall. And if you break the cycle in the fall and you killed all those baby grubs when they're starting to hatch around August, September, if you kill those baby grubs when they're little, you are grub free for the year. They're not going to migrate from your yard, from your neighbor's yard to your yard. Just put down the preventative. Now, the last and the biggest thing, we're going to take a little look at this, is weed killers. Crabgrass is really going to be a problem. So like we said, we're trying to put down the crabgrass preventatives to try to help weeds from germinating, but that's only stopping weeds from coming from seed. If you physically have weeds in your lawn, I don't put down weed and feeds. I use liquid weed killers to tackle them. So let's take a quick look at that, because using the right weed killer for the right weed is the only way you're going to be successful. And actually, since I have everything laid out here, this is the product that we're going to be using. I love the Jonathan Green line, but we're going to be using on all the lawns we maintain the crabgrass preventative and fertilizer. So this is what's going to be our next application on our lawns. For those who want weed killers and not worried about crabgrass, but they want to control the broadleaf weeds like the dandelions and such, then you want to be using what we call a weed and feed. It's going to fertilize that grass, but at the same time has a weed killer in it that will help tackle the weeds. So there's no two parts. And then this is what one of the products we use for grub preventative. So whatever brand you use, you just want to make sure it says somewhere on this season long. That's the key, because this is a preventative grub killer. So you put this down late May, early June. It gets into the grass, has plenty of time to get worked in with the rain into the lawn, and then as long as it says season long, this chemical is going to be sitting in that grass, only killing what's eating it. So when those grubs come around late season, like we talked about, it'll kill them when they're babies instead of waiting until they're doing damage. Now, as far as the weed killers themselves, there's a few different categories. Some products like these weed and feed products right here, only control broadleaf weeds. Now, what is a broadleaf weed? Anything that actually kind of looks like a leaf. So a clover is also going to be considered a broadleaf weed. So you can see they actually look as a like a true leaf, as opposed to a grassy weed. So this is a type of crabgrass already germinating in my walkways, but you can see in the fact that it's more, it looks like a grass, it's just a wider stand on it. The stem is a little bit wider, it's a little woodier, doesn't look like a nice one, but it kind of looks like a grass. That is a grassy weed killer. I mean, a grassy weed. And so when I'm looking for broadleaf weed killers, I want something, I'm always looking for something that's gonna list crabgrass killer. What that basically means is grassy weed killer. So yes, it'll kill crabgrass. These products are gonna kill weeds without killing your grass. So there's only a handful of chemicals that know the difference between crabgrass and your typical lawn. So you wanna make sure you're picking something that says for lawns and that it has crabgrass killer in it. Now, the worst and the nastiest weed that we deal with outside of crabgrass is nut sedge. And so sedges are in a category of all their own, and you need something that says nut sedge on it. This Sedge Stop is a great product because you can go around and sprinkle it around and it's gonna prevent it. But if you just have little pockets, the liquid weed killer works really well, but you can tell it's a sedge when you grab it and roll it in your stems, and it's triangular shaped stem. So you roll that around and you're gonna start seeing that it's completely different. So that is a noxious weed. We're gonna start getting reports any day now on sedge because it comes out as the heat kicks in. So we're barely warming up. Most days are only in the 60s, maybe the occasional 70s, but the sedges are starting to grow. And you can always tell because when you look at your grass, you're gonna see this lime green weed. It kind of looks like a grass from a distance, but you're gonna see these pockets of lime green that are growing faster than your lawn. And when you walk up closer and pull one or two out, you'll see that it's gonna go through. I've got a pocket pocking up, so we're gonna take a look at it so you know what to look for, because getting them while they're babies is the key, because they have a little bulb at the bottom. So people go and try to pull them out, doesn't work because the fact that it's going to have a little bulb at the bottom. So as you pull them out, it leaves that seed basically behind. So this spot in the lawn is notorious for getting it. I've pretty much got it out of control in most areas, but you can see these little pockets that are starting to pop up that are a little bit lighter green than all the others. If this was freshly cut, this grass is due to be cut, but if it was freshly cut, you would see that these were standing up higher than all the others. So I've got all this little bit right in here and right into this side here. So I get this every year and I always get busy and forget to get to it, but I'm gonna use the granulate, I'm gonna sprinkle that around, and it's gonna kill this while it's baby and young before it does any damage to your lawn. But take a look for that, because if that stuff pops up, it'll go in your flower beds, go in your lawn, and it's a real pain. Okay, so that's a lot for the lawns, but that's it in a nutshell. Scout for those weeds, focus on prevention, use a small amount of chemical as you can to get the best results, but just keeping in mind that when it comes to lawns, using your weed killers, even if you're going organic lawn care, using the weed killers to get the weeds out of the way, thickening up that lawn, fix your pH, focus on prevention. A healthy grass will do the best job at choking out the weeds and suppressing against grub damages and other issues. So keep that lawn in as good a shape as possible, and the whole thing will become lower maintenance. Hope that helps. Take care.